When I was 19, I recorded my first demo at a studio in Chicago. I was young, raw, and full of ideas, full of dreams. The music was definitely non-commercial, and I was an artist in development, so going to college to pursue education. My dad was always very proud of me, and at the time he knew a few people in the industry and thought, hey, it might be a good idea to take this demo to a guy in particular. But after hearing the first track, this guy told my dad, you know what, I think she should just go marry a rich guy. Well, my dad got really furious with him, and a few years later, Dad told me the story, and of course I got really sad. I didn't get sad because this man didn't like my music, but because when you're young and you hear something like that at the beginning of your journey, it really has the potential to put you down, and it makes you doubt yourself, not because of anything else other than that you're vulnerable. And of course, this made a very big impression on me, and so much so that I'm here now, 20 plus years later, talking about it. Thankfully, in a good way, because this advice just made me concentrate more on my own craft and think about becoming a better musician, the best musician I could be. The reason why I'm sharing this story is because I have been dealing with this issue my whole life. I am a woman in music, and being a woman in music is not easy. Being a woman in a non-mainstream world of music makes it even more difficult and almost sometimes impossible for people to be heard. I grew up in Rio de Janeiro in the 80s. Growing up, I had no role models to look up to. All the composers I knew were men, all the instrumentalists were men, all arrangers were men. A handful of women were successful at writing their songs and were known mostly because they were singers, and female singers were always more easily accepted. I was never told I couldn't do things based on my gender as a child, so in that case, ignorance is bliss. Believing that I was capable of doing something regardless of my gender made things happen for me. I never heard music and thought to myself, oh my God, a guy wrote that, a woman wrote that, or a cat wrote that. I just cared about how it made me feel. My musical path was never very clear in the sense that I had too much interest in too many things. That's probably the reason why I've been told so many times that I was not something that people could easily sell, and therefore I could never get a label behind me or an agency to promote and do something like that, because they didn't know what to promote, really. And people, they're going to tell you, oh, we're not going to take you on, we're not going to sign you, we don't know which category to put you on, because you are unsellable. And one of the biggest complaints that I've always heard is like, oh, you do too many things. And I'm thinking, okay, but if I only did one thing and that thing didn't take off, I'd be dead. And I'm really grateful that I can do all these other things in music, because that's how I'm able to survive it. So right from the beginning, I figured out the more skills I had, the more chances I would have to make a living in music. I could sing, arrange, play different instruments, write for all kinds of people, orchestras, genres, jazz, Brazilian music, improvised music, world music, pop, classical, electronic. I also learned skills outside of music to help me understand the business side of things so that I could be self-sufficient and get a jump start. In recent years, we've had a lot of this new discussion about gender, race in music. That is non-mainstream, of course, and women composers is a very hot topic right now, for example. And it's so important to make room for new blood in this music scene, especially because it does not resonate with youth, with young people, with the world of pop culture we live in today. Just turn on the radio and TV and see what's trending and listen to what's playing. It's not classical music, it's not jazz, it's not world music. It's not a lot of things that we're trying to fight for. I think the more diversity we promote, the better off we are. There will be so many other people who can identify with this music. If not all represented by composers who are dead, they have already conquered this incredible space and superhero status that will never go away, at least not for a very long time. And I just think we should equally look at what is being done now, because we as living people can connect with other living people in a very different manner. And having living people from all kinds of backgrounds be creative in this environment can only add to preserve and enrich this legacy. I hope the change that seems to be taking place now is not just temporary, that it is here to stay. Real change can only be successfully implemented over a prolonged period of time. It takes time to break away from older norms, change our behavior, our way of thinking, from a single person to the most complex of societies. All I know is that I really believe in this music. I believe in the power of this music and the capacity it has to grow and develop into unbelievable things in the future. And for sure, it transcends race, gender, color, barriers, or divisions of any kind.